Education regular meeting for Harrison School District 2 for Tuesday, October 18th, 2016. Call the meeting to order. Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Ms. Gonzalez?
Here.
Ms. Lee? Here. Mrs. Longmire?
Mrs. Longmire is excused tonight.
Mr. Siebert?
Here.
Mrs. Torres?
Here. So we have 4 present. I'd like to thank you all for joining us this evening. Members of the public who desire to address the board on any topic related to board work, please sign in the roster that is in the back of the room before 6:30 p.m. So we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and mission statement. We have students here from Wildflower Elementary School. We're so excited to have you here. Yay! So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Richard and Rihanna Murphy. Yay. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Then we have siblings Dylan, Logan, and Megan Jerica, who will lead us in, who will read for us our district mission statement. There you go. Go for it. They really did memorize it. Good job.
Good job, guys.
I was watching. They really did memorize it. Fantastic job. Oh, we have certificates, and we need somebody to take a photo because our photographer is missing. So, okay, so we will move on to item 2 to adopt our agenda. If you've all had an opportunity to review tonight's agenda,
Yes.
I would entertain a motion to adopt our agenda for this evening.
I move to approve the agenda as stated.
Second. Moved by Mr. Siebert, second by Mrs. Torres. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Adopted. And we will move on to item number 3, showcasing schools. We have Wendy Godwin, principal of Wildflower Elementary School here, to tell us all about their school. Welcome.
Okay, welcome everybody. We appreciate everybody coming tonight. Dr. Spencer, school board members, we have a great presentation tonight. But first, I want to recognize my assistant principal, Sarah Limpool. Yay! I would like to recognize this phenomenal staff. I tell you what, without this staff and these students, I wouldn't be anything. It takes a village, and I've been so fortunate to be at Wildflower for the past 10 years. Oh, I get emotional talking about it. But so if you're a staff member, stand up or raise your hand. Hey! We even have some parents here tonight parents. We have our VIP president here, Miss Jerika, and these are her three fabulous kids right here. I tell you what, I'm just so proud and honored to work with these people and work at Wildflower. So we have a great presentation tonight, and Miss Candelora, stand up. Miss Candelora is in our video tonight, and she is actually our narrator of our story. So be sure to thank her. She did a phenomenal job, and we had some other kids in the video as well. So let's just watch this. That was just so cute. So cute. So we do have a few little PowerPoint slides. In addition, if you had any questions about our data or our growth this year, we were very proud of our growth. It was 87.7. So we were very pleased with that growth. And of course, our park data, I'm going to hand that over to Sarah.
Okay. We are really proud of our Wildcats. They continue to shine in every way. Park ELA, we outdid the state and the district by leaps and bounds. So we're so proud of them. Math, the same thing. So, and then science and social studies. And we're really proud of our social studies. Our fourth grade social studies teacher, she did a fabulous job with our students. Any questions?
Well, I just have a question about how your peers feel about you setting the bar a little bit higher with this video. I'm sure all the people who are coming next in the next few weeks, there's all the principals over here. They're all like, "Oh man."
Well, we didn't know we were going to be able to make it. Our stress level's been a little high lately, but boy, we have a team, and without them, we couldn't have put it together, that's for sure. And the kids were just phenomenal, as always.
I agree. Thank you. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for our Wildflower Wildcats?
No questions.
I, as usual, have a few questions. So the National Blue Ribbon School, obviously, that is a tremendous honor, and it is something that we are all so proud of. I know that takes a tremendous amount of work from your students and from your staff and from parents as well for that level of commitment. So we really appreciate that. But what I would like to hear is a little bit about what your challenges are. We're here to, decide on resources for schools and decide on kind of how we can help you move things forward. And though the picture is rosy, we would like to hear a little bit, or at least I would like to hear a little bit about some of your challenges.
We'll show you on our school performance plan. If you look up here, even though that we had great growth and we even earned bonus points for reducing the number of students on read plans, if you'll look down here in the math part in academic growth, we were in the approaching area by 3 points in math for free or reduced price lunch eligible students. So we missed the meets by 3 points. So, but we know we still, if you looked at our graphs, that was a little bit lower, the math area. So with our new math program, Eureka, we're making strides. Is it different? Absolutely. But we're trying to do a blend of what the teachers know, because they're such a veteran staff, and involving Eureka as well as the main core content, and using what we've used in the past as a resource. So kind of a good blend or balance of both. But we're hoping to make gains in those departments. But we were really happy with our ELL students. They exceeded in all areas. And we were very proud of that, because that has been a challenge.
Great. How long have you been using the Eureka program?
It just started this year.
Just this year.
Yes.
Well, we will be eager next time you come back. You'll have had a little bit of experience with it, so we would be eager to hear kind of how that has turned out. And
That was a great question.
Good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
job.
everybody.
So from one exciting thing to another, our next item is communicating with the public. And so we have Mr. John Stapleton from Peak Education here joining us tonight. Very excited to hear what Peak Education is up to this year. Do we have is there a mic up here? Ah, there you go. Okay. I think we had it for a kid level, but they don't need mics because there you go. Welcome. It's good to see you. All of a sudden got so quiet.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
First of all, I for one am glad I didn't try to put together like a really exciting presentation for you.
Like I said, they have set the bar.
My congratulations to the students and staff. Wildfire Elementary. I mean, it's an incredible story. And I'm sure, like every other organization and institution in this community, there are challenges that we still have. I, for one, believe that celebrating successes and things that are right in our world make it so much easier to generate confidence in the will to go forward, succeed on those other things, which I'm sure you will. And it's a wonderful story for Harris School District, and it's a clear example of the challenge that Peak Education faces as we look to our future. And I'm going to share a few things about that here today, but the thing more than any other that it is both a wonderful opportunity for us and a challenge is how extraordinarily different a school district Harrison is than 20 years ago when our program was created. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and start with a thank you for the opportunity to come here and talk with you again this year, as I have in the past, and to thank you for what I consider to be a very special and exemplary partnership that we have been able to develop with your school system. And things happen every day, large and small, that make it possible for us to do our work and to be successful with the students that we have chosen to work with over this 20 years. And just as an example, I got a call from Vanita Browning today. We're in the process of preparing a move from the Pikes Peak Community Foundation building on North Nevada. They have sold that to CC and they're moving, and we're moving out on our own. And Vanita said, well, we can't move on the 27th. I said, okay, why is that? She said, I just got an invitation to take 4 more of our students on the Avid trip that you all are taking to Northern Colorado, the University of Wyoming. And it's a great opportunity for us because we have a hard time getting our students on those road trips without community support. Just it's not a small example, but it's a great example of proactively your team reaching out to us and helping our students. And we greatly appreciate that. As I mentioned, we are approaching 20 years of working with students.
Wow.
In Harrison School District. There was a crisis in our Southeast Colorado Springs community 20 years ago, and Valentine's Day of 1997, and our founders started talking almost immediately with the principal and Carmel Middle School about what they might do to make a difference. And they decided on a scholarship program, and as soon as they raised $10,000, they recruited their first student based on the recommendation of Rick Price, the principal at Carmel. And every time they raised another $10,000, which got put in the bank, and to generate some interest with the idea that within 6 years, from middle school through their high school years, there would be at least $12,000 in the bank for that student. They graduated on time, showed academic promise and a commitment for the kinds of things that you encourage every one of your students to strive for today. But not every student was being encouraged in that way 20 years ago. Literally that first year, I think they got up to $100,000 and recruited 10 students. A lot has changed since then. And
You gotta stand up.
We still do scholarships, and I'll talk just briefly about that in a minute in more detail. But as we migrated away from scholarships alone to additional kinds of support. There was always this aspiration on the part of our founders and their community supporters that we would help students match their sort of love of life and passions with college and career opportunities, help them with developing their leadership skills, connecting them with community and giving them opportunities to engage in community service and in other ways, and having members of their family participate within the kinds of activities that we have for our students. And while things have changed a lot in how we go about doing these things, and I think we are stronger today probably than ever in our capacity to do that, those aspirations have really changed. And at once it's reinforcing when I hear you and schools like yours and Panorama, who was here last year when I came, and I don't know whether you remember this, but Dr. Dumang and her team made a powerful presentation about their hopes for their school. And I turned around and said, we've got to get you. And I'm proud to say that we were able to bring Panorama into our program this year. We have 14 of their students in our program, and Dr. Dumang is already a really extraordinary resource for us, and just one example of that. Part of her research for her own doctorate, she looked at ways to evaluate how students change in terms of where their motivation comes from, the things that drive them to be successful. And we're using one of her measurement tools to begin to look at in a different way than we ever had before our impact on students from the day they become an education scholar until they leave middle school and during their high school years. And thank her for that. We love her and her students being part of our program, and could not be more pleased. So right now we're not working with elementary school students, but I'm already thinking, okay, so how are we going to connect these guys to? Anyway, congratulations. Okay, so by the numbers, other than having Panorama in our program for the first time, and that's, you know, like the big news in terms of a change for us. We now have 25 college graduates, but the pipeline, it took a long time when you're recruiting one student at a time and you're starting them in middle school, and you know, the pipeline is just now really starting to be full. We have an additional 45 students in college, or in a small portion of that in career associate type degree programs or certificate programs, other kinds of educational activities beyond high school. But 45 are in college today. There are 6 in the military. We have 71 this year in our 2 high schools, and 38 in middle school, including Panorama's 14. Major milestones, some of which we have talked with you about, we continue to have these as parts of the story we tell to this community when they wonder what peak education is, what its relevance to the community is, and how we might leverage that in new ways in the future. Here are some major milestones, some of which we've talked about before, by way of reminder, and some other things perhaps. We had a valedictorian at Harrison High School in 2014. We had a Gates Millennium Scholar from Harrison High School, awarded in 2015. That's an incredible opportunity offered by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that pays for academic studies all the way through doctorate programs. We had a salutatorian at Harrison High School this past spring. At the moment, we have 5 King Scholars at CCS, 2 Daniel Scholars, and I'm proud to say that we have now launched 2 new scholarship initiatives to benefit students for the first time this fall. One is in a partnership with the Moniker Foundation, and they are offering us $10,000 per year for scholarships, and those are good to be renewed for up to 4 years. And they are adding $10,000 for each new class for 4 years. So we will be having within 4 years $40,000 per year for that for peak education students. We also, as part of our effort to sort of round out our work with Moniker and our students, added a new scholarship component funded by our companion foundation, Pikes Peak Educational Foundation. It's the corpus of all those scholarship dollars that were collected at the beginning of our program when we were doing primarily scholarships. And it earned a lot of extra money, and it's that about $300,000 there that we are now going to pay out once again in scholarships that became less of a factor in our programs while we were really building up the other things I've already discussed. Where we're headed is an interesting question because of the fact that we work in and live in and share with you a completely different environment than we encountered or our founders did and their supporters when they started in 1997-98 school year. Our board is in the process now of a series of conversations about the future of peak education and beyond the 1 year. It's a part of celebration of all the things that we have done in partnership with you and others in the community over the last 20 years, trying to figure out how we best can maintain our value and relevance to the students in the Harrison School District. And I think it's an exciting conversation for us to have, just as it is for you to imagine the places that your school district will be going in the future with so many positive things that you've already accomplished to inspire you, everyone who's a part of this. I can tell you this, I know that we've already begun to do it, and I anticipate it will be a bigger part of what peak education does in the future. We will be expanding our college scholarship program beyond what I just described. So we're sort of going back to the beginning in a sense that we started out as a scholarship foundation. We're once again going to be doing more in the way of scholarship awards on our own and with our partners in the community, but we will continue to do the other kinds of things that I've described to you here. But one of the things that I certainly hope our board will think we have the capacity to do, or help us to create the capacity to do this, is to significantly expand our definition of what scholarship programs can be. It's one thing to be helping students strive to be in the place they want to be and pursue the education they want to pursue and get through that without significant debt. And that is certainly our goal. But it's another to help those students who we recruit as middle schoolers and stay with all the way through their college years. It's another thing to help them have life experiences all along the way that are provided by extraordinary community organizations, but those programs have to be paid for by them just as we have to pay for ours. And so our hope is that as we deepen our relationships with organizations like Colorado Springs School and its summer immersion in 21st century learning that our students have been a part of for the last 4 years, or the tremendous outdoor leadership programs that Catamount Institute is providing, and and other organizations that we will have a fund to offer to students who choose to pursue these things in conversations with their family. These are the things that we like, whether it's the REACH program, which has now been renamed the Summits program, because there are a lot of other competitors in the community using REACH in their aspirational language, so we're trying to redefine that. But, so we'll have scholarships at the college level that we're certainly going to help students take advantage of wonderful opportunities that we cannot create on our own, but that they may not be able to. And I think that's one of the big steps that we will take. We have a tremendous partnership that's building with the Sachs Foundation, Sachs Minority Opportunity Fund, and College Prep Academy. 11 of our students are actually participating in that. They do a lot of campus visitations. They provide laptops for their students that need them. They do significant training and test prep for high school students with SAT, ACT, and other things they need to take. And we're happy to be a part of that. I mentioned Catamount. We have a growing partnership with Leadership High Speed and their Leading Edge programs. We have a lot of sort of intensive leadership opportunity for high school students and community service. And I'll mention this here, and I'd love to, if not to recruit a peak education student into this. We've been trying now for 3 years. There is, and I'm assuming this program will continue, is at the Fine Arts Center, the Youth Documentary Film Academy. Tom Shepard, who grew up in Colorado Springs, actually in Southeast Colorado Springs, I think 18 years in school. He's a documentary filmmaker in San Francisco, and he has come back here and started this film institute for students in high school. Every year he tries to recruit one of our students, and we haven't succeeded yet in convincing one to do this, but there was a wonderful opportunity. They do short films, and they're pretty compelling things to see, and a great opportunity for students. So those are just an example of some of those things that we're doing. Once again, I thank you for the partnership and support. And I hope you think we're a valuable partner for this. I sort of summarized how we articulate what we try to do in this leadership program. Here is our hope that, and I'm confident that in very significant majority of cases, we'll see our hope is when they have left us, it will only be temporarily, and they will be coming back and finding various ways to support us in our mission in the future after their graduation. They started with careers and families and become homeowners. Many of them back here in our community. But that we hope not only for that, but that every one of our students will be seen and known for who they are. That they will be capable of seeing possibilities and knowing how to connect those possibilities with pathways to a college career. And perhaps the most important thing of all, and it just builds on the kind of message that you all started from kindergarten to go from there. It's this idea that perhaps the most important component of their personal code of ethics will be knowing how to think what they say. I think if we can do those things, we can figure out ways to continue to about it you. And that is certainly my personal commitment. Was Benita Browning's commitment, and Susan Adams' commitment, the founders' commitment. And we will stay in touch with you as we kind of figure out what Peak Education 2.0 will look like as we start next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well, I think it's important to note that Peak Education is a really very important partner for the district and have accomplished so many really impressive things. And on the note of looking at some of our students coming back and building their careers here in the community, one of our peak education scholars, Mr. Keenan Wright, who is the Gates Millennium Scholar that you talked about, I know for sure that he intends to come back because he intends to take Dr. Spencer's job somewhere down the road. He's articulated that, and I think he may be coming for you. So all of our peak, and I think there are some peak education students here right now. I won't point out any of them in particular, but there they are. Their mom will point them out. There you go. So yes, absolutely. And one of the things that I'd like to do is say thank you to the funders. I think the people that go a lot of times unnamed necessarily, but the funding for programs like this, ambitious programs like this, comes from somewhere. And please pass on our appreciation to your board and your staff and those people as well.
I'll be happy to do that. And I meant to mention this in the remarks. The summer REACH program, we've had 100 students go through that in October. They have the opportunity to go up to long as many times as 3, and some have actually done that, including, I think, one who Stephanie Torres, who's been there for 3 years. She wants to go back as a mentor, and I suspect she has a good opportunity to do that. The value of the community investment in those students over that 4-year period is $100,000. And so, I mean, that is a very significant gift that the community has given to those students. And partly that's our funders, partly is the funder of this program, the CSS, community people. That's just one.
Sure. It really does. It really does. So, well, thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions here? The Mrs. Torres has stepped away, but she knows more than any of us, I think, about what peak education is up to. So, any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Oh, Miss Annie, do you have anything to add? Yes. So we will move on to item number 5, our superintendent's report. It's National Principals Month. Yay! So please, all of our principals and all of our vice principals, assistant principals, come on up to, they were vice principals when I was in school, and so that's why I always call you all assistant principals. Come on up to the front. We have something for you. Yay! There you go. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for everything that you do. Needless to say, none of what we up here work on gets to be reality without you all in your schools, leading your teams. I'm going to start to choke up here a little bit, but you all do such important work, and our kids and all of our families and our neighborhoods and community really, really, really appreciate everything that you do because you put your heart and soul into it. I can tell just from that video. So, anything anybody wants to add?
I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Whew, catch my breath here. Yeah, it is a little warm in here. We have next on our agenda is public comment. We don't have anybody signed up for our public comment section, so we will move on to the boring part of our meeting. Sorry. Monitoring board performance. In your packets, you've got our annual work plan that I'm going to try and pull up right now to look at my notes. Does anybody have any comments on our annual work plan?
I do. There's a change for Feed the Children. It's no longer the 10th. It's now the 3rd.
That's in December.
December.
That's going to be December 3rd,
Correct.
which is a week early. That's a Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. Now called Mercy Christmas, and one of the best holiday-related events. It's up at the Geelong Expo Center. So all of you who would up at Mercy Springs Church, yes, who would like to volunteer, see Mrs. Torres. She can give you all the information that you need. Anything else? Looking forward, we have our CASB annual convention in early December, which we will be there, and we will have students there as well. We have students who will be attending. We'll have to find out because that's always such a okay. We can talk a little bit. We have had students there in the past, and they have a student track. So I think that would be a fantastic thing. They've started to publicize it. We talked a little bit about it at the Delegate Assembly last week. So that would be a fantastic thing to see if we could get some students into that track, high school age students. So, okay. Any other changes? We also have, very important, we also have the Educating Children of Color Summit coming up at Colorado College in January. And I know that there are a number of nursing programs that have, and students that are involved in that. And so we'll have to coordinate our attendance there too. Okay, moving on to legislative updates. Joyce and I, do you want to talk about the Delegate Assembly, or I'll talk a little bit about it? Okay. So this past weekend, Joyce and I attended the Colorado Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly, which is the opportunity for delegates from each of the member school districts. So there's 178 school districts in Colorado. There were 75 or so delegates, so one delegate from each school board there to go through the process of deciding CASB's lobbying platform for next year's legislative session. And we reviewed about 25 or so resolutions that is in addition to their standing resolutions that establish the platform related to testing and to funding. The primary focus, I'll say, was on continuing to fight the battle to make up for the funding that school districts have lost over the last however many years of negative factor. This has been an ongoing battle year after year, and I feel like we make very small gains every year, but we are far from being caught up. And there are some differences in opinion on how that catch-up should happen between the rural districts and the urban districts and the wealthier districts, and the factor conversations get very complicated and make my head hurt. But I think we were united on our message to the assembly that enough is enough, needs to get fixed. And so I'm hopeful, but realistic, but we will be working during this legislative session to make sure that our legislators understand our position. And I encourage any of you out there who are in contact with any of our legislators in Denver, help us beat the drum for funding. That's their most important responsibility. The state board deals with testing, and the legislators deal with all sorts of education bills. Their most important job right now is to get the funding in place for the students who have been shortchanged for years and years and years. So that was primarily the message. There are some planning and some strategy behind it, a variety of different groups that are looking at different approaches. But that was pretty much the message. So, anything you want to add?
It was a lot of fun, and we got to have dinner with Dan Snowberger for any of you who remember
Yeah.
Dan. So, it was very, it's my first time ever going to watch Eileen vote, and it was very interesting. So, politics might be in my future. I doubt it.
I think maybe Joyce Lee for House District, whatever it is that you're 19 down there. Yeah. And I think interesting is probably all in the eye of the beholder. So, boy, they do have those little things, those little handheld voting things. That's really, it makes it a lot easier than just counting raised hands. Yeah. Anything else? Is there anything that you want to add on legislative updates? There's not much going on. So moving on to the superintendent consent agenda, we have the personnel report that you've seen in your packet. Have you all had an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
Questions for the superintendent?
I just had one question when I'm looking at them. I know what SPED Parapro is, but what's SPED Parapro T?
Ooh, SPED Parapro TAP.
Oh, I think that's what
Rachel? That's what that is. Okay, thanks.
Good. Look at that. An answer. A question and an answer. Any other questions or comments? Moving on to the financial statement, you've got the financial report in your packets. Have you all had an opportunity to review it? Any questions?
I could not remember what greatest need represented. And I remember we looked at the greatest need
On the scholarship report?
donations to district. This is funds coming in for our greatest need,
Yes.
for the district to allocate. So
Yeah, donations that are designated.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Could not remember what that is.
Yeah. Okay. So, with that said, I would entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's consent agenda.
I move to approve the superintendent consent agenda items as stated.
So, moved
Second.
moved by Mrs. Torres, seconded by Mr. Siebert. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the board consent agenda. So, in your packet, you've got our minutes from September 6th and September 20th. Have you all had an opportunity to review?
Just
Yes.
that one thing about switching our names for the.
So, Joyce, I'm sorry, Mrs. Lee, had a change relating. Did you get that? Okay. Any other changes? Nope. So moving on to OE monitoring reports. So we have under 9.2, we have the OE monitoring report for OE4 personnel administration. We spent some significant time at our last work session discussing. Does anybody have any follow-up questions to what we talked about at our work session?
No.
Okay, and then also we have our results monitoring report. Not only did we hack this to death at our previous work session, but we also got a presentation on it from our superintendent at our last regular meeting. Any other questions? Nope. So that being said, I would entertain a motion to approve the board consent agenda.
Do we amend for the minutes?
You can make a motion to approve with the changes that are stated.
I move to approve the board consent agenda with changes.
Moved by Mr. Siebert, seconded by Mrs. Lee. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. With that, we are adjourned.